Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be going through every single one of the Jenga blocks of the movie and TV show Jenga that I painted over on TikTok. I've got both of the stacks here with me. I'm going to try and pick them up both at the same time. Here we go. I have packed them away in this really cute like ombre theme, like rainbow order. I love how this looks, honestly. I'll put this on display. But obviously we have two stacks, so this video is probably going to be quite long, but I'm going to go through the fronts and the backs of every single block in these stacks. Obviously I will group the ones up that are like together, so for example I did all of the Harry Potter movies, so I'll group all those up, but yeah, just going to be running through them, and then also a bit of detail on some like print versions of these that you can get your hands on my Etsy if you're interested. So I'm just going to run from like top to bottom, and then as I said, if there's any like groupings I'll pick them out of the other stacks to group them all together, but I'm gonna have to destroy this beautiful thing now. I've just laid all the blocks out in front of me, and I've realised that I definitely can't do this by just sort of like standing here and going like this. It's not gonna work, so I need to rethink my entire setup. Okay, so this is the best setup that I can do. Sorry if it's not the greatest quality, but we're just going to get right into it, going from the white blocks all the way down to the pink blocks, starting with Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging, and then on the back obviously I just did Georgia Nicholson in her olive costume. Next we have Despicable Me, and on the back I just did the three minions. There was quite a lot of like guessing on what the names are, so if you can guess the names, put that in the comments. Next we have Grey's Anatomy, and on the back we have just the logo for the Grey Sloan Memorial Hospital. Next we have the Powerpuff Girls, and on the back obviously I did the three Powerpuff Girls. Next we have Beetlejuice, obviously I did the logo, and then I've never seen Beetlejuice, so I just did the beetle that was from the logo on the back. And this block kind of really ruins the colour setup because it's like kind of black and kind of white. Next we have the Grinch. This was part of when I did some Christmas movies. On the back obviously we just did a little drawing of the Grinch. Another Christmas movie, we have Arthur Christmas, and on the back I just did the bicycle that's wrapped up. Next we have the Bee movie, and on the back obviously I did Barry B. Benson. His face looks a little bit funny, this isn't my greatest drawing. Next we have the Good Dinosaur, and on the back obviously I did the dinosaur with the little kid on the back, can't remember his name. Next we have all 7 of the Harry Potter movies. I put them in order and I'm just going to do them all now. I know there are 8 Harry Potter movies, but because Deathly Hallows 1 and 2 are pretty similar and I didn't want to waste too many blocks, I've just done Deathly Hallows as one block. And then these are the back. These are actually the first 7 blocks I did in this entire series, and so I didn't really know what I was doing, but I just went with doing little things from all of the movies on the back, and I really love this set of blocks. So next up we have Captain America. I did do a couple Marvel movies as you see throughout this, and on the back of course I just did the Captain America shield. Then we have Pirates of the Caribbean, and on the back of course I just did Jack's compass. We then have Star Wars and The Mandalorian, which I'm kind of grouping together here because I've grouped them together in the stack. And then of course on the back, these two are two of like my favourites I think, because this Millennium Falcon looks so cool and I'm really chuffed at the details. And then of course we have little baby Yoda. Next we have Avengers Endgame, and this was the very last block I painted in the full 2 stacks. On the back I just did the Infinity Stones, and I somehow managed to mess up the spacing, so there's like an extra gap here, which is really annoying, I know. We then have Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and this part of the title took me so long to do. On the back we just sort of did this thing of like the coat spread out, I don't know, it looks a bit weird. Next we have Money Heist. I think I filmed this at the time where like Money Heist was like quite a big hype and everyone was watching it. On the back I just did the masks. Then we have Friends, where I caused quite a lot of controversy because I've never seen Friends and that was a really big thing to people apparently. On the back I just did the logo for the Central Perk Cafe. Also, I'm really sorry if you can hear like cars moving in the background. It's really hot in my room, so I've got the window open and I'm like right next to it to get the light. But next we have Wicked. Oh, And then on the back I just did sort of like the playbook for Wicked. Next up we have Iron Man, and on the back I just did his like mask or helmet, whatever you want to call it. We then have Miraculous, and I still don't really know what this is, to be honest, but on the back I just did sort of like the mask, superhero mask things, because I know it's like about Miraculous Ladybug and Cat Noir, but that's all I know. Next I did Stranger Things, and I just did whatever this is on the back. I don't really know. This is another one that I haven't seen. You're probably going to hear me say that a lot throughout this video. Next we have the Queen's Gambit, and on the back I just did a little chessboard. Then we have WALL-E. I really like how this one came out with like the white splatters on it, and of course on the back I just did WALL-E and Eva. We then have Divergent. This is one of the most recent ones I painted, and on the back I just did the little symbols for the 5 factions. We then have Thor, and on the back obviously I did Thor's hammer. Next we have Soul. I painted this pretty much immediately after I saw the movie because I loved it so much, and I just did this like thing from like the art for the movie. Next we have The Nightmare Before Christmas, and this was when I was doing this around like Halloween time, and of course on the back I just did Jack Skellington on whatever this thing is. And we have Coraline, and on the back I just tried to do like a drawing of Coraline, although it did turn out a little bit strange. Following on with the more Halloween movies, we have Hocus Pocus, and I just did sort of like the wigs for the 3 witches on the back. Then we have Coco, and I did the guitar on the back. Next we have Alice in Wonderland. I really quite like how this front turned out. And on the back I did the drink me and eat me things. Next we have The Princess and the Frog, and on the back obviously I did Ray with Evangeline. We then have Sleeping Beauty, and I had an absolute nightmare with this block because I tried to do like the original really fancy title and messed up a few times. And on the back I did the 3 fairies. We then have Aladdin. This one's kind of chipped a little bit from where it's been in the stack. And on the back I did the genie, the magic carpet, and then Jasmine's like headband thing. We then have Tangled, and I tried to spice it up with the title by putting these leaf things in. I'm not sure if that was a good idea or not. And on the back I did Rapunzel's Castle. Now this is one of my favourite backs on all of the blocks that I've painted. Moving on to like all the purple colours, we have Flushed Away, and on the back I just did all the little slugs on a pipe, and I love this one. Next we have Adventure Time, and this title is definitely one that took me the longest. On the back I just did a little BMO. Next we have Inside Out, and this is another one that really messes up the colour order because obviously it is rainbow, because on the back I just did the facial expressions of each of the like emotions. Next we have Pocahontas, and this is sort of like an ombre purple to blue. I do really like how this title came out. On the back, of course, I just did a little drawing of Pocahontas. Next we have Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. Obviously these two are very, very similar in the titles. And on the back for Monsters University, I just did all the titles of the like houses. Wait, what are they called? Can't remember what they're called. Sororities. There we go. And then on the Monsters Inc. block, I did Boo's Door. Next, we have Mary Poppins, and I went with the original Mary Poppins and did the little dancing penguins on the back. We then have Up, and on the back of this one, of course, I did the balloon house. This was one of my first like really successful videos on TikTok, and I really love how this came out. We then have Frozen. I didn't do Frozen 2 because I thought they were quite similar, but maybe I should have done that. And then on the back, of course, we have Olaf, whose face is looking a bit funny, and this is exactly why most of the characters you see I don't draw the faces on. We then have the Cat in the Hat, and on the back I did like the Dr. Seuss drawing of the Cat in the Hat. We then have The Fault in Our Stars, and on the back I just did the okay thing. This is kind of based off the book art rather than the movie. Next we have Peppa Pig, and on the back obviously I just did Peppa and George. We then have Moana. This one is a really strange shade of blue where it doesn't seem to fit in anywhere in the colour stack properly. On the back, obviously, I did Hey Hey and Pua and the Heart of Tafiti. Next, we have Wreck-It Ralph, and then this is another one of my favourites because I love the ombre, and I love this on the back. It's sort of the Wreck-It Ralph like house. I think it looks really cool. Next, we have Toy Story, and on the back, I did the little aliens and then the boot that says Andy on it. We then have The Simpsons. I really like the background of this one with the clouds in it. And on the back, I just did the family sat on the sofa. As you can see, tried not to do the facial expressions. And then we have Ice Age. On the back, I did the acorn and I tried to do some like ice cracks and it didn't turn out too bad. And that is the entire first stack of Jenga. Now we're just got to do it all again with the second stack. Something that you'll see with the second stack is sort of the colour order changes much more rapidly. As you can see with this one, there was quite a lot of black and blue kind of colours, but the next one, the colour change is really, really rapid. Next up, we have Cinderella, and on the back I just did the two mice. One of them's called Gus Gus. Can't remember what that one's called. Let me know if you know. We then have Grease, and on the back I did the T-Birds and the Pink Ladies jackets. Next we have Ratatouille, and I remember filming this one when the whole Ratatouille thing was going on the back, and we just have Remy and a carrot. Next we have Anastasia. This is one of my like favourite movies that I thought was a Disney movie, but someone told me it actually is Fox, who were then bought by Disney. And on the back I did like the little thing that Rasputin has. Next we have Doctor Who, and on the back of course I did the TARDIS. We then have Pingu. On the back I did sort of like, this is the original Pingu title, and then this is like the newer version of it. I'd done like quite a lot of kids TV shows throughout this Jenga. Next we have Finding Nemo. On the back obviously I just did a couple of the characters from the movie. Next we have Beauty and the Beast. Now this title is literally my least favourite of every single Jenga block that we have in these two stacks. I'm not quite sure why, it in my opinion I hate it. Honestly, same with the back, to be honest. I just did a couple of things from the movies. We then have The Emperor's New Groove, and I really love how this title came out with all the different colours. On the back obviously I did Kuzco's Poison, or the poison for Kuzco. We then have How to Train Your Dragon, and I really like this effect that I managed to get on the block. On the back I just did a silhouette of Toothless. Next we have Peter Pan, and on the back I just did the silhouettes of all the children flying. We then have The Little Mermaid. This is another one that I'm not that chuffed with. On the back just a couple of the characters. Next we have Shark Tale. I think this is called something different if you're from the US. And on the back I just did one of the characters, which for some reason I can't remember her name. I then did The Sound of Music, and on the back obviously I just did the scene for when she sings The Hills Are Alive. We then have The Gruffalo, and on the back I just did sort of this random scene that I found from The Gruffalo when they turned it into like a movie. Next we have Lilo and Stitch, and of course on the back I just did Stitch with this like little leaf pattern. We then have The Wizard of Oz, and this is one where the block really, like, the whole block is important, because on the back I just did a split between the yellow brick road with the ruby slippers, and I don't know if you can see, but I did put a little bit of I did put a little bit of glitter on the slippers. Next we have Rick and Morty, and on the back of course I just did a few of the characters. We then have the Teletubbies, and on the back I just did their sort of like head things. I've been informed that apparently the Teletubbies now have children. Next we have Horrible Histories. I really like how this title turned out, and I just did one of the like opening scenes for one of the titles. This is the Vile Victorians. We then have Tarzan, and on the back I just tried to do Tarzan and Jane, but this honestly turned out so bad. Next we have Scooby-Doo, and on the back I just did the Mystery Machine. We then have Maze Runner, and on the back of course I just did a maze. We then have Brave, and on the back of this one I did When the Three Boys Are Turned into Bears. We then have The Jungle Book, and on the back I just did Baloo and Mowgli. Next we have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and on the back I just did all of the Seven Dwarfs. We then have Shrek, and on the back of this one I just did a couple of the characters from the movie. Next we have Mulan, and on the back I just did this like split thing of her when she's like fighting and her when she's in the matchmakers. Next we have SpongeBob SquarePants, and on the back I just did a couple of the characters. Next we have the Tweenies, and on the back I just did the prints from the main 4 characters like outfits. Next we have Bob's Burgers, and I did the 5 main characters. This is one of my favourite TV shows ever. We then have Rugrats, and on the back I just did the Cindy doll, I think it's called. We then have Hercules, and on the back I just did the 5 Muses. We then have Winnie the Pooh, and as you can see this one was a bit of a disaster because I used this pen that obviously isn't a paint pen, and when I did the Mod Podge over the top it smudged the whole thing, which was really, really sad. And then on the back of course I just did Pooh and a balloon. Next we have the Lion King, and on the back obviously I just did Simba being held up on Pride Rock. We then have the Lorax, and on the back I just did a couple of the trees from the movie. We then have Bolt, and I'm not really sure what I was doing with this title bit. On the back I just did Bolt when he was a baby with the carrot. Next we have Tom and Jerry, and on the back I tried to draw Tom and Jerry, but again this turned out terrible. We then have Big Hero 6, and as you can see on both the front and the back, when I did the Mod Podge, the red from the background like smudged onto the white, which is really, really sad because this is one of my favourite movies. Next we have 101 Dalmatians. I remember this one taking me so much time to get it like perfect, and on the back I just did the Dalmatian print. We then have The Chase. This was one of the first like proper TV shows that I think I did. And on the back I just did sort of like the board that you have on the show. We have High School Musical, and on the back I just did a microphone, the Wildcats logo and a basketball. Next we have The Incredibles, and on the back I just did the logo for The Incredibles. Next we have The Hunger Games, and on the back I did the Mockingjay pin. Then we have Kung Fu Panda, and this was a disaster. I tried to do like the faces from all of the like warriors or whatever they're called, but for some reason I did it so tiny and then you couldn't even tell what they were. We then have Pinocchio, and on the back of course I just drew Pinocchio. We have Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and on the back I just did a couple of things from the movie. We have 64 Zoo Lane, and this was I think one of the most popular blocks that I did because it was a bit of a throwback for lots of people. I just did some of the characters on the back. We next have Shark Boy and Love Girl, and this is one that really messes up the colour order of the stack. Another one that messes up the colour order of the stack is The Story of Tracy Beaker, because the front's kind of blue, but then the back obviously is more pink. We then have Mean Girls. This was another really, really popular one for some reason, and on the back I just did the title from the Burn book. And we have Mamma Mia. Again, it really messes up the colour order. As you can see, the front is pink, but the sides are blue. Again, this was a really, really popular one from you guys. And then the final block is the Aristocats, and on the back I just did a little drawing of Marie. I know this isn't a movie or like a TV show block, but right at the very start when I started this, as you can see in June 2020, I just did a TikTok block sort of like to mark it. It doesn't have anything on the back. I think maybe I could duplicate this and put like the finish date on the back. That might look kind of cool. But yeah, this is the last block. And then that is the entirety of the second stack. As I said, you can see like how much quicker the colour kind of changes throughout this one. I really like how pretty this one looks. I also kind of am debating whether to split this up into 2 different videos, but I kind of feel like that's pointless. I think it might just be one quite long video. So I hope you guys, if you've made it this far, drop me a comment, let me know, and thank you so much for watching all the way through. So that is all of the blocks now that we have run through. I'm probably going to insert a clip here that's of me in like 3 days time, because I have ordered some A4 and A5 double-sided prints of the Jenga. So it's a couple of days later now, sorry for the background, but the wall prints for this Jenga have just arrived. I've got A4 size and A5 size. These are 300 GSM glossy paper, so they're really, really good quality. They're both exactly the same as each other, just different sizes. And so on the front you have all of the titles of the stack of Jenga, and then on the back you have all of the backs. But yeah, that's kind of all there is to say really. If you want to get your hands on them, they are on my Etsy. The link to that is in the description of this video, and there's only a couple, so if you want one, be quick, otherwise they'll sell out. And I don't know if I'm going to be getting any more once they sell out, just because I don't know, maybe, who knows. But yeah, these are them. I'm actually really chuffed with how these turn out. Like the colour on this looks really good. One thing to say is there are a couple of blocks that are missing on here just because they either didn't fit in to like the colour order of the stack, or they just meant that it was an uneven thing at the top. But yeah, I'm not going to tell you which ones, because if you really wanted a specific movie, you will be able to notice if that movie is not there when you see the picture that's a close-up of this on my Etsy. I don't know if that's bad of me doing that or not, but there's only a couple missing. But that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and comment down below what kind of other videos you want to see, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell notification. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!